I request Honorable Si Kyung to introduce and welcome the delegation.
Samlo test le shwe ta tarin sugar taramsala liya America gi trezo omegi chedu kuzap sojung de shabso ko yore ani kuzap sojung tinde re koju shube kabla taw mangbo korgu yore ngara trense chebina nidon chupdun gi chinang gabe nalya ani chamgu Nancy Pelosi gi kaptidu trezo omegi chozo imbe kabla ani chedu kuzap sojung dende YouTube 중요하래 다 트위터에 진이 단답아도 아메리카기 최적 뭐네 구접 소중 뭐 더네 아니 집이나야디 니돈 줍드네 진이 다 단답아도 시비나 로든식 도신 차들이요래 이제 안타리 코나마츠데 패배야 돼야 아니 아리 최저 나눠려야 팀자르식 벽에 간요세기 팀자르다 디단 제니 저저 오메나리아 슈경에 조디 다른데 구접 소중기 고티 아니 저저 오메 친제 소중기 소조 마이클 맥콜 크란차기 요리 마이클 맥콜 크란 차샤기나 I'm introducing you in Tibet. I want the Tibetans to understand about you more. So Michael McCall 크란 땡아 표현이야 대것식 저식 첨부 요마르데 이네 다른 팀자들단 대회 통에 아니 지든 소배기 진대 소종 소소인 배차네 팀자들이 신디디 짐마가문다 컨설션 남르데 이네 코나랑게 투겐 시체 조조 오메나로리아 아니 팀자 되나야기 겐시니 다 단다바도 조조 오메기 진대 소종당 아니 조조 오메기 현조 나노리아 텐투버 중앙에 di Michael McCall da Jim McGovern and Tana Shincheni and Gregory Meeks 다른데 구접 소중 나라 폐야 태양 민내의 강양식 고티 내의 샤다지 폐열에 아니 마이클 맥콜 크란 조조 오메기 소중 소소이 매차네 고티지다 아니 조조 오메기 친대 소중 나로라 망주 소배기 고티디 아니 그레거리 믹스 자기열에 군인이 대 폐체 폐야되기 천전되기 간다 저zo 오면 나로라 아니 소관 이게 근거네 야bio 연백이 나바데 숙침부 쇼식된 거 열애시니 지슈 마이클 맥콜 크란 단다 팀자 딜리아 야bio 체와 팀자 되야리아 갱케와 점도 마인백이 니동 줄로라 진호 콘스장고 춤부초라 아리 저zo게 서기 땅마 비셰지야 디기 팀잔졸레 잡조나 요레시니 디직 냐산 슈베타네. Can we welcome Michael McCall to Dharamsala for leading this delegation? Then we also have Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. 소주 수바 Nancy Pelosi 저 다른 대표 요레 공국권이야 당에 어디시다 슈고에 요마레 남아 상으로 천천버리 지동 고제 자주 잡든 로리야 진호 콘스장고 춤부초기 아리 조조 나라 드라미 톱당게 소주 나라 시베 전쟁아 도난제베 qabla 탱 당보 제제 중원에 제네 따 단답어도 아니 표집에 자동게 체도 구제 시부 아니 잡조나야다 진호 콘스장고 춤부초리야 ku gergi tuti chimbu yoba 진제기 내단 샤디요레 대인도 단답하도 ngazo ari 조조 나노 팀자 가르친 요바이네 전주기 나려야 아니 공기 람된다 야메나 냠슈 아니 우티 매바 자원이네 요마레 대인배 선장 정부 낸시 펠로시리아 아니 펩수기 삼리다실레시로나 데네 망주 소외기 친대 소중기 고티 그레거리 믹스 관도 치마이나 니돈 줄이야 진호 권상무 좀 쳐라 서기 생다 조조기 서기 생다 피야 게 쳔베기 단대 팀자들라 그레거리 믹스기 잡죠 매베이나 아니 저zo 오면 나로리야 숨전이 영토에 가고 차기 열이 다 단다 그랑게 잡죠 여발 때니 숨전이 마세베기 림바 당부들라 저zo 투미 쉽게 숨주 소지 여발 나로네 아니 숨자 구주 고니기 잡죠 나야 당 난디 제리야 저zo 경원에 저zo 공매기 즉시의 튜버 소액이야 팀자태양 저zo 투미 가서 쉽게 니슈서고 나로네 숨게 구주 고지기 잡교나체 도신 텀을 딘서마 그레그리 믹스처 대 해봐들래야 아니 감기 됐어요. 드네 저도 팀이 짐 메가원 당한저 표백이 레든 간디로 지메이네 코랑기 잡교 메바디 짜지네 요마리 잠구 낸시 펠로시 구데두고 요리 코랑 공로티스 충원이 배송자 저zo 오면 나리야 망주 소백이 마음바 표정기 레든 제조기 개 영조디 정부 낸스빌로시기 짐 메가원리야 난게 요래 엔 단다버도 짐자 개체 숨기 짐자 등에게 잡조낭에디 아니 짐 메가원 차디 요래 엔 가수시로 나셔이 전에 저zo 팀이 에미베라 캘리포니아네레 그런 단다 진대 소중날 요래 진대 소중날 요가 좀더 많이 베기 단다 팀자디게 사말이야 잡조 쉬어다 안타린 탱탕보 담살이야 제래 고급 두신 충벌이 그런 제가 야가래 구자rat 내레샤 아니 제가 아리 미세치니 다 단다 캘리포니아네 아리 저zo 그 팀이체니 진대 소중 소매당 안타린 소중디 핸도 아니 에미베라초 페바딜리아 삼주시로나 드네 저zo 팀이 니콜 말리오타키스 뉴욕 내리 낭초를 도나용에 지다 단다 저zo 팀이 나로네 공로 충어지 차기 열이 지된 수백이 저zo 팀이체 안 단다 표현이야 도나나니 저zo난 렘니시라 루메베 선장 레바네 체제 표현이야 도난 체제 안 단다 버도 심자 상물로야 잡조나요레 아니 니콜 말리오타키스라 선두시로나 드네 저zo 팀이 아이오와네 임바 메리넷 밀러 믹스 그런 다른 담살이야 페아 탱 당고레 이네 속중날이야 차례난 거 좀전 때니 표정골이야 고도 가락한 사람 요르데 이네 단대 표정골이야 고도 숙체로 로액체도 안타니 구접 속중 생결이야 디페어 선장 메리넷 밀러 믹스라 안에 표주시로나 Then I also want to welcome the four bosses of the delegates here, the spouses of the delegates. Konzo da sanda shi peyore, ani sanda digedi namju mijigi da choga kime suimba ine chalena bekabli ya dumde tyonggo guyuna ani saya digi jabjo mewal zawani ne yongaya mare tembe sonza. I would welcome the spouses who are behind the success of all the leaders here. It's also my pleasure to welcome the staffers. Sometimes I wonder what would the leaders be doing without the staffers. So it's leje digedi America chozo naloliya 자가다 내단 저거 말에 레제소 괜찮으시다 요래 아니 레제소기 아니 고지sol이야 차례 가른난 거고 요매단 디수 삼월로 냠십 지야단 갑종 걸 내가 상월로 레제소 난거 요래. So the staff members are very important component of our legislative work supporting the leaders here. So I extend a very warm welcome to the staff members. Then we also have quite a number of staffers from the US Embassy in Delhi. 야갈리야 댄시체베가 아메리카 슝섭기 레제 카직 다른 콘솔 행계를 페요레 안디 타지나야다 디게 상물로리아 아니 코나무스 차로 마무나에 왜 손장 코나무스레 아니 가수기 참드슈야이. So I'm done with the introduction right now. but since this is a very rare occasion for us, all of us from the Central Tibetan Administration, whether it's from the Supreme Justice Commission or the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, ministers, the independent bodies, all the public here, the students from our schools have gathered here to thank the delegates led by Michael McCall for their tenacity and commitment to move the Tibet Resolve Act in the US Congress. I also want to acknowledge the contribution made by Richard Gere. I'm sure Michael McCall will watch for that, and Speaker Pelosi, as always. Richard Gere ki thandapadong kanjo ege tozole ya shudu chebe kabla nga sigyon chache tema tu chimbre tema tu nanglo ne tema shi kona nyamdu henjar shuche ngazo nyamdu pungo shivshi cheche ani tozo nanglo ya shudu gi lengu pangu pe yore. And whenever Richard was in Washington, D.C., he always made it a point to meet with Speaker Pelosi and Michael McCall and all the leaders here. And I also want to acknowledge the presence of Tenjoy Gyazula, President of International Campaign for Tibet, and also Namgyela, representative of the Office of Tibet in Washington, D.C. ngazu dine tabju digi yore pemi digzu gi kasha gi ta chöche tabju dig shaba dige di ngosu lalen khelia ta sanel chale nange di ani geji phedu nangyun khangi zonjing denzi chödon la re dana shin chene ari työnju namjela da de leje samlogi kule mangu shuskyon yore tin samba khona ma soye thanin de phawa de la kasu shye. Now, if I may speak a little bit about the Tibet Resolve Act, which is very, very important for us, and you have taken a lot of energy to get this through the House and through the Senate. I want to remind the public here that on November 26th of last year, in 2023, the House Foreign Affairs Committee passed this bill unanimously. And on February 15th of this year, the House passed it unanimously on the floor. And then again, it moved to the Senate. On April 16th of this year, the Senate Foreign Relations Committee unanimously approved that. And very recently, on 12th of this month, it got through the Senate floor. I think it is the hotline process because it moved very, very fast. A hotline is a process where you need unanimity of decision by the four corners, or the eight corners as they call it, the leaders of the Foreign Affairs Committee and the Foreign Relations Committee and the House and the Senate leaders. So you need consensus of all the leaders and not one objection from a single senator. And that's how it moved very fast. So I take this opportunity also to thank Senator Todd Young from the Republican side and Senator Jeff Merkley from the Democrat side for moving the bill in the Senate. And I also want to acknowledge the contribution made by Senator Cardin, who is the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee in the Senate, who have been very, very instrumental in moving this in the manner that moved very smoothly and very fast. Now we are waiting for President Joe Biden to sign this into an act and make it into a law in the next few days. The reason why we decided to request the Congress to go for this position is that since I came into the administration, we decided that we will have to focus on the polarities. When His Holiness talks about the middle way policy, when we say middle, then there has to be recognition for polarities. And the polarities could be multidimensional, but in this case, the political polarity is one polarity is the present situation of Tibet under the repressive communist government, And the other polarity is the historical status of Tibet as an independent state. So this Tibet Resolve Act not only talks about the territory of Tibet and the right to self-determination of the Tibetan people, but it also talks about the US government having to counter China's false narrative on Tibetan history, its people, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So this is a very significant breakthrough in our movement, which will be a new tool in our hands to reach out to other governments around the world for them to be able to take similar positions like what the US Congress has done. And this, we believe, would be putting pressure on the Chinese government to come to the negotiating table. If there is no recognition to the polarities, there is no value to the middle way. To add value to the middle way, and we are very, very committed. I want to reiterate that the Central Tibetan administration is very, very committed to the middle way policy of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, but to gain traction for the middle way, to gain value for the middle way, to gain leverage for the middle way, it's very important that we get recognition of the polarities. So this is where we have reached, and I'm really very, very thankful to the congressional leadership who are present here, and a vast majority of them who are back in the United States who support His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan cause. So thank you very much again for your presence here. We would love to hear each and every one of you, and this message of the US Congress should reach out to other governments, where I have also spoken with the State Department that once this becomes a law, then it's incumbent upon them to work with like-minded countries to make sure that similar resolutions or similar statements or similar laws are adopted in other nations. And we look forward to the leadership of the Congress also to take similar actions to convince other governments to adopt similar positions so that Chinese will come on the negotiating table. Our contention is that if and when the governments keep repeating this statement that Tibet is part of PRC, we keep telling these governments that you are going against international law. Whether it's happening to Ukraine today or whether it happened to Tibet more than 70 years ago, it is the same international law. We also tell governments that on the one hand, they keep repeating this statement that Tibet is part of PRC. On the other hand, they say we support negotiations between the representative of His Holiness Dalai Lama and the Chinese government. And I say you are contradicting yourself because you are removing the very ground for negotiations. When the whole international community keeps repeating this statement that at the behest of the Chinese government, that Tibet is part of PRC, then where is the reason for China to come and talk to us? And the third thing we tell the international community is, why do you think the Chinese government is asking every country to say that Tibet is part of PRC? Why not other regions or other nationalities within China? That is because the Chinese government knows that they have no legitimacy of their rule in Tibet. And they are trying to seek that legitimacy from the international community. Now, this Tibet Resolve Act, through this bill, through this act, when it's signed into law by President Biden, it will reinforce US position on countering China's false narrative on Tibetan history. And this will be a first. And this will be a leverage for the middle way for China to come on the negotiating table. So thank you very much. Samlog any cha chumbush dabro na konzo tuche shuechet. 당에 타마슈에디 아리 신진기 팀자들라 첸다 가두교바이네 다 상인나니 셰녀가 가두교고 요바이네 디니무디 문에 단에 가서 베베지도 가와이 요바이네 가도체요 외베기 내단지 차기 요레신디 슈아이 도치. Before we break up, I want to take this opportunity to thank the government of India and the people of India for supporting us during these last 65 years. I want to reiterate the fact that if it is not for the government of India and people of India, we would not be where we are today. And I have always said that whatever we have today, we owe it everything to His Holiness the Dalai Lama and his leadership. and the indomitable spirit of the Tibetans inside Tibet. So finally, I want to thank the delegates once again. After so many months of preparation, it has come to a fruition today. The delegates are here. I think we had one of the most memorable time in our struggle movement. The students are here, the public are here. We represent the Tibetans inside and outside Tibet, and from the very deepest corner of our heart, we want to thank every single delegate led by Chairman Michael McCall and Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. Thank you very much. Thank you.